line when you have two baby faces, and that's what you had there. By the time they got to the third match, people were ready for the guy that their guilty pleasure, the Nature Boy, to win the title back. But you still had two baby faces, and unless the two baby faces had a personal issue, and that don't mean, folks, well, they're fighting for the title. Meltzer was right about the fact the title was tepid, and you couldn't hang your hat just on the title. It had been changed, and just didn't work. It got cold. So I can see his point on that deal. I think it's more of anything, two baby faces. There should have been a wrinkle added to it. Even the fact that, you could have even had Steamboat do something in a match where it looked like an inadvertent low blow, but it really wasn't. But you didn't have the evidence to prove it. Something along those lines could have happened. But nobody wanted to touch Steamboat because he was such a pristine babyface, and had never been really a heel. Maybe he has somewhere. I'm sure he has someplace, but nothing of any significance. But I just think that, like I mentioned earlier, February, then April, and then May. That's a lot of Flair Steamboat, and they didn't just go out there and have a 8 or 10 minute match.
No.
So maybe it was too much, too soon. Maybe it's the right plan, but can we stretch it out a little bit and make this issue a little bit more personal going into especially that last match where we're going to blow off Flair and Steamboat and start up Flair and Funk? But that's easy to point out now, right, Conrad? And in hindsight, but it's just too much too soon, I think. Even though it was great wrestling, people wanted more. They wanted something fresh. They wanted another ingredient added to the meal, and we didn't give that to them.
Man, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm all about saving money. I got my first cell phone with one of the big wireless providers, more than 20 years ago, and I've honestly hated that monthly bill ever since. It just feels like, I don't know, I was throwing my money away. But then I discovered that I could have the same premium service I'm used to, but at a fraction of the cost. I could cut my wireless bill down to just $15 a month and save hundreds of dollars in the process, all by switching to Mint Mobile. For anyone who's looking to save without sacrificing service, switching to Mint Mobile is a no-brainer. For customers that hate their wireless bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes that savings on to you, and let me tell you, it's significant. Every plan comes with unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus crazy fast 4G LTE. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. You can even keep your same phone number and all of your existing contacts. And if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless for just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/JR. That's mintmobile.com/JR. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/JR. Let's talk about something else Dave wrote here. He sort of insinuates that Terry Gordy is going to be coming in to reform the Freebirds and possibly feud with the Road Warriors. Any memories of that? I mean, Gordy coming in to join the Freebirds here in '89, that would have been some pretty hot shit.
Been great. Gordy's Mac Daddy, man. Big time. I talked to so many guys that will tell you, that are guys I respect, Cowboy, Ernie Ladd, others, that said that Terry Gordy was the greatest teenage pro wrestler that they ever saw in their life. So he was always great and just got better. But the fact that we'd love to put you needed Gordy in the Freebirds.
Right.
And the Freebirds had great equity. And Michael could still talk as good as anybody in the business. But you needed Gordy in that mix to make it complete. But he was making so much money per week on a part-time basis, essentially, because you go so many weeks in Japan and come back, and then you home for a month or 3 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever, go back. He was making huge money over there because the Japanese are smart to see that this guy's a star. He's a main event level star. And quite frankly, if you really want to get the money out of Gordy, we got close to getting what we thought would be a great deal when we had Gordy and Dr. Death as partners. They were a great team, man. They were awesome. They were a great team in Japan. But Terry Gordy's biggest money may have been as a contender for the title with Michael Hayes as his manager. That to me was magical because Michael could talk. Like I said, Michael could talk. He could have all the antics at ringside. He was very much a strategist, smart guy, still is. Hey, if anybody's going to play that Joe Exotic, Michael Hayes might be a candidate for that.
Yeah,
he ain't got to fix his hair or nothing.
I've pitched that maybe we should have a 6-man when he gets out of prison with DDP, Michael Hayes, and Joe Exotic.
Hey, bro, that's good. But anyway, Gordy, to me, that would have been another plan. Looking back at some booking, Gordy, number one contender, chasing the title. Can you imagine the matches that Flair and Gordy would have had in a hot program for the title? God damn, man. You can't hardly sit still and eat that. That's just good shit.
Something else in the Observer. Brian Pillman's video should start this week, and he starts sometime in June. Also headed in will be Norman the Lunatic in mid-June and Scott Hall. Nothing definite yet, but good chance of Ricky Santana. No agreement has been made with Nikita Koloff, but I suspect there will be talks with him as well. So a lot of folks coming in. Scott Hall, we know, going to be a huge star. Norman the Lunatic, had a run for what it was, but Brian Pillman, he's probably one of the guys you were most excited about, huh?
Yeah. I worked with Stu Hart on Norman the Lunatic. I love the mock and sing gimmick that he had, his persona. I don't know why we couldn't have done that. Norman the Lunatic sucked. Not Mike Shaw.
Right.
But the character. It was the shits. Are you supposed to have empathy for the guy? Is he mentally challenged? What's going on? It's just an unbelievable character that I couldn't invest in. So I think we screwed up on that deal. And because Mike Shaw is a good guy, really, really a good guy. And again, a veteran that knew how to be a heel and had no problem making people boo him. But in that cartoonish character, he was entertaining. And I've always said this, heels, and as boys are listening today, and a lot of wrestlers do listen to our show, and we appreciate it. If you're a villain, don't work on your game to make people laugh at you. Don't be funny. I always sound like Jim Cornette. God damn it, I'm a heel, you son of a bitch. Just don't be a comedian. Because if you make me laugh, and I chuckle when I see you do things, how can I really dislike you? Right. You just made me laugh.
Right.
You entertain me. We're swimming in opposite directions here. So I think that we screwed up there with Mike Shaw, and Scott had all this upside potential, but for whatever reason, nobody could come up with a consensus on how to book Scott Hall and get the maximum value out of him. And so you look back at how do you fix that, JR? Well, here's what I would do, guys. I'd go to Scott Hall and say, look, we're going to have a booking meeting next week, and we want you to come to it. And we want you to come up with some ideas and some opponents that you believe you could have great matches with and how we can better position you. So we'll see you next Thursday at the office in Atlanta, and we'll go over it. That never happened. I learned that from the Cowboy. You got a top guy. You always want your top guys to contribute to their storylines. That's how they have skin in the game. They're not going to fall on their ass on one of their own ideas. So that was bad. In hindsight, we all learned a lot over the years on how to address some of these issues. But getting Scott Hall, as it worked out, and Conrad, I know you've heard it many times. Scott Hall's got one of the best minds in all of wrestling.
Yeah,
he's observant. He has a great instincts, and he had it, but nobody asked him to. Of course, that's the same old deal. When you got the booking committee with active performers, sometimes want to protect their space outside that booking meeting, and having somebody come in that's going to try to be in the main events, you got to move somebody aside. If somebody's going to go up, somebody else is going to have to come down. You can't have 10 top guys. Don't work. Split focus. It's like 50-50 booking. It doesn't work. So that was the issue on Scott that I can recall. But he had a great mind, and we could have used that a lot there, no doubt about it.
Let's talk about some TV stuff that affects you. Meltzer would write, Jim Ross will be moving to Worldwide Wrestling as the new host with Bob Caudle and Lance Russell doing NWA Pro. Russell will also team with Dangerously on the Sunday TBS show, while it appears Ross won't be doing the Friday night TBS show, and they're trying to bring in a new announcer to host that show. What's the rhyme or reason for musical chairs on the shows here?
Knee jerks, just trying to fix things that had bigger issues. They wanted me in syndication. I think Tony was was Tony in WWF at that time?
Yes.
So we lost Tony, and Tony had been earmarked to be the king of our syndicated broadcast teams, the number one guy. And because TVS they were given a choice when Tony and I met with Jack Petrick and Jim Hurd about our contracts, and somehow or another I kind of took over the conversation, believe that or not, because Tony in our shows he said he went home and told Lois what kind of raise he got, and said that Jim Ross is a hell of a negotiator. So Tony and I both got more money than we ever made in our lives, nice 6-figure deals. And when you're making, like in his case, Crockett wasn't paying him hardly anything. So that was a good deal. But then Tony left, and, they didn't want me everywhere. I couldn't be, too much. So I was still doing Saturday night TBS. I was still doing the pay-per-views. And now I'm doing Worldwide Wrestling. So surely we could come up with somebody else to do these 1 hour on Sunday night and on Friday night. And that's what they did. So it was a matter of the perception was J.R. can help us in the syndicated side on Worldwide. And that was their number one syndicated show. Worldwide, because when I went to work for Crockett, Tony Schiavone and David Crockett were on Worldwide. And Bob Caudle and I were on the number 2 show, which was NWA Pro at that time. So, and then Bob, of course, went to the commentators, the color analyst role, and I did the play-by-play. So, but that was the deal there. Just maybe get the perception that JR would help us, whether that's true or not. But, I did what I needed to do. I did what I was assigned to do. And I think that was a story. Hopefully that move, in their perception, their idea was it would strengthen our syndication a little bit. And whether it did or not is up to debate, but nonetheless, that was the reasoning that I got.
Let's get to the show. Wrestle War. You do commentary with Bob Caudle. You watched this show back for the first time in a long time. How much fun did you have hearing yourself with Bob Caudle? I know he was somebody you really looked up to.
I love him, man. It was so, Conrad, it's so good. It's kind of like working with our guys when we were all together with Excalibur and Tony and myself doing the commentary for AEW. It's fun. It's not stressful. Everybody shares. Everybody's a pro. And they're all good people. Then you double that with Bob Caudle. I never worked with anybody, a better human being, I never worked in any walk of life, a better man than Bob Caudle. And he had product knowledge. He still had his instincts. He had that voice that people in a lot of regions of the country still identified with, because he was the voice of Mid-Atlantic wrestling forever, and they were getting massive ratings in their local syndication throughout the Mid-Atlantic territory. So it was just wonderful. I think about him all the time, and I'm just, if this frigging epidemic had not, when it's over, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to keep my word. I'll get on an airplane and I'm going to fly to Raleigh. And I'm going to go to the assisted living facility that Bob and Jackie Caudle are living in, and I'm going to spend the day with him, because I owe him a lot more than that. So, he's just a lovable guy, and I just can't tell you how, I saw him at that, my one and only appearance at the, what's the thing on Thanksgiving, the
WrestleCade, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw him there, and I saw him from a distance. That's what he means to me. I saw Bob Caudle from a distance, sitting in a chair. Little Jackie, his wife, right there with him, they had somebody there helping them out. He was signing some